into this program that I heard earlier tonight on the cows, one of our media partners, or the comments I heard on that program by the guest. I don't have her name right now, but she is from the mid-wife organization, the ICTC, the International Center for Traditional Childbearing. Again, the 20 or 30 minutes or so that I heard, lot lots of constructive information. But the comment was made that black men, well, there was a couple of comments made that I wanted to address. The comment was made that black men in the United States have been brainwashed to, or conditions created so that, they don't celebrate the birth of a child. They despise it. And didn't really go into it deeply. Again, I couldn't call in and ask the question or ask her to go further into it. But then she also said, like in Africa, that when a mother gives birth to a child, the whole village turns out. It's a celebration. They come and they bathe and take care of the mother who just gave birth. Of course, help take care of the child, help provide for the child. And it's like, the old adage we've heard, it takes a village to raise a child. And so, from her observations in Africa, this is what she saw. This is, something traditional that has been passed down and everything. And then I started thinking back, I'm 45 years old. That's almost half a century. Living in the United States. I'm African descendant. I'm black identified. And so I just looked at my own family, but going back to even when I was a little kid, our neighbors, I remember, people that my mother was close to, her girlfriends and everything, that when a birth was given, they had what they call a baby shower. And they made big money off a baby shower. So, people know what I'm talking about when I say baby shower. I don't care what your ethnic background is. That seems to be a tradition here in America, and really commercialized to an extent, like they do everything, but it's still there. It still exists. And I can remember numbers of baby showers, which is what friends and family are coming together to provide for that child, whether they bring in diapers, giving you a crib, whatever it is, food, whatever it is. Now, my own experience having two daughters, one who has already given birth and one about to give birth, we didn't have a midwife or anything like that where she described her business gives that type of service, which, I think is a great business. I think it's a much needed service. If there are, in fact, people out there that don't experience that, the aftercare of a mother, that's a good service. And so I support that. But I mean, I've seen it, here in America as a African descendant person, seen it within my own family, while, I guess the mother, could be considered. In my case, I see it, view it as my mother, who's a grandmother now, a great grandmother. Now, she's always been there for the birth of any of my children. And I suspect, of the births of her other grandchildren. So, I've seen it in my family. I've seen it in other families. It is a tradition, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I just wanted to, just offer a contrary view. And I can only speak on my own experience. And so maybe I'm blessed more than others. I do live around most of my life, or been around family, and I'm not talking about just immediate family, but extended family as well. So maybe my family's blessed in that regard, if indeed, if that's her experience, that this sort of tradition and aftercare of a mother giving birth is in practice in the communities of African descended people in America. So, and that's Akon with Mama Africa. And the first time I heard that song, and I'm not exaggerating, exaggerating. It's like it was like a spiritual hymnal to me. I mean, that music and the lyrics to that song, Mama Africa, really, stirred feelings and wonderful feelings of the ancestral homeland of Africa. And, going back to what I was talking about earlier when I heard on that program, and the lady, said that African descendant people here in America that's been, enslaved in bondage, mistreated, abused, and forever fighting for their freedom on this continent, did not celebrate the birth of children or life of a child like she saw them do in Africa. And, that my experience has been opposite. I'm just one person. I only observe my families and their friends and their contacts. So, that's still, in my experience, a lot of people, and I'm sure they're not the only ones. And then, it got me to thinking, she described some of the negative impacts of slavery and how, children were ripped from their mother's arms and just, the whole family just abused and torn apart and all of that. And but saying that we lost some of our traditions and talking about the negative impact, and that's certainly true. That can be argued against, in my opinion, in my view. But I saw it as opposite as far as celebrating or traditions centered around childbirthing. I think they held on to some of those traditions. Maybe those are African originated traditions passed through generations. Look, it ain't been that many generations since the African enslaved people were brought here. So what? If I look at my family, um, what, 3, 4, maybe 5 generations? That's not a long, long time when you look at it in terms of human lives and don't look at it in terms of just time. It hasn't been that long ago. So possibly that tradition has been passed down, at least to the people that I know or my family. Maybe that's where that tradition came from. And then, like many other things, American businessmen and capitalists found a way to capitalize on that. I mean, even Memorial Day, which now comes to my remembrance, I read that was started by freed Africans who would lay wreaths on the graves of Union soldiers. And those were probably their relatives. They were black Union soldiers, but that's how the whole tradition of Memorial Day got started. So, it's possible that baby showers, that ideal originated among African descendant people right here in America and survived hundreds of years. So I had to just add that thought to my commentary before I move on to the next topic.